Hello there, hello there, hello there, YouTubes and Twitch. How the devil are we all? I am very well, I thank you for asking. It's 7 PM here in the UK, it's 2 PM on the east coast of Americana land, and it's 6 AM in Fiji. Hello to all of the people of the great nation, albeit slightly authoritarian nation of Fiji. Anyways, how are we all today? It's the transfer deadline day here in Britain. Well, in Europe, I think, which is a thing to do with football, or soccer, as Americans quite wrongly put it. So that's a thing I've been basically watching, but no one cares. None of you watching this will give the slightest fuck about that. So I'll probably just have to move on from this. I think probably to something vaguely worthwhile. I imagine, or not, whatevs. Anyways, I suppose it's worth starting off. It's sorry to be all doom and gloom about this, but there's a piece of bad news that I must kick off the show with. That being that my neighbours out the front shouting for no fucking reason. Don't know if that picked up on the microphone. They're very annoying. But more specifically, even though the moment is slightly ruined, Donald Trump is still alive. That's a thing. It is a thing. For now. We'll wait and see. Anyway, he is still alive, although he is a fucking selfish prick and a lunatic, which rhymes a lot more than I was planning. There we go. Trump remains in the hospital. Even though he said he was going to, indicated he might be out today. I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. Anyway, he went on a little drive. Even though he's supposed to be isolated, he's supposed to be quarantined because he has a very infectious disease that it can transmit to people. But he went for a little drive, as you can see. There he is.
This is quite an unbelievable scene. The president, who's being treated for coronavirus, part of his convoy has just come down this busy road. All traffic has been cleared, and the president is waving at his supporters to say thank you for coming out to back him while he is meant to be in the hospital. And you can see all the vehicles of a presidential convoy accompanying the president.
What a prick. What an irresponsible, selfish prick. And it turns out that was because he was complaining about he wanted to leave the hospital. He's supposed to be self-isolating. He's a child. He's a fucking child, this man. He really is. He's embarrassing. America, please, for the love of God, get rid of this piece of shit. He's an idiot. Okay? He's a dangerous idiot. And also, for someone who's supposedly pro-life, 14 Secret Service agents who he's exposed because of this little stunt have had to go into self-isolation because they've been exposed unnecessarily to a very deadly virus. He's supposed to be self-isolating because he's ill, you see. Wow. Anyway. Yes. So, his oxygen levels have dipped twice and he's received a steroid treatment for his lung spurs, if you will. Hakeem Jeffries, who's a bit of a ledge, said more than 205,000 Americans are dead. It's probably much more than that because they stopped counting properly once the Trump administration got hold of that information. Anyway, 205,000 Americans are dead. We need leadership, not photo ops. Very true. Wearing a mask, the president waved to well-wishers from behind the glass of a sealed car after hermetically sealed, by the way, as well. So you can't look. It's sealed from the outside. The chemical attack can't get in, and his breath can't get out. Apparently, well, unless he opens the door, I suppose. Wearing a mask, the president waved to well-wishers from behind the glass of a sealed car after tweeting that he would leave Walter Hospital to pay a surprise visit to patriots outside. No, just fascist idiots. Whatever. Um, where are we? However, Mr. Trump sought to project an image of strength, tweeting images of himself appearing to work from the hospital and a video message teasing his surprise drive past. Yeah. I think it's worth maybe just getting to that for just a second, because he did, whilst he was in the hospital, he also tweeted out some images, which are quite interesting, which show you the level to which we were in a kind of dear leader fake photo situation here, right? He tweeted out these images here, right, of him supposedly working. Well, that's him working real hard, yo. Look, he's working really hard on the things. Except it turns out when the pictures were taken, was 5:35 p.m. the first one, where he's supposedly working really hard, and then 5:25 p.m. or 5:25 and then 5:35. So 10 minutes apart. He wasn't working. He was doing nothing. He was doing absolutely nothing, and that's shown up by the fact that one of the images that was released of him supposedly working really hard for the American people, whilst he was in hospital, was clearly him. This one here was clearly him signing his own name onto a piece of blank paper. Literally nothing about this man at all is genuine, is it? It's all complete fakery and bollocks. And it's almost not worth pointing it out, except that, it's still the truth, because his fans don't care. His fans don't care that he puts the lives of everyone around him in danger, to the point where it's now easier and quicker to name the people in his White House entourage who don't have COVID than those who do. Like every motherfucker. I've said this before, but I think it bears repeating. When I said that Donald Trump was going to be the death of the GOP, this is not what I meant. This is not at all what I meant. But he's really pushing it, man. He's going to get some people killed, but they are bad people, so that's okay. And on the point of people he's going to get killed, Kayleigh McEnany, who's the press secretary, turns out she's got COVID. She says, quote, "After testing negative consistently, including every day since Thursday, I tested positive for COVID on Monday morning while experiencing no symptoms." See, even then, this fucking hack garbage bag person of this hack garbage bag presidential team still has to lot cast doubt on it. Oh, I've tested negative loads of times. Yeah, but we know you can test negative loads of times and then test positive. And we know you don't have to have symptoms to test positive. Why are you casting doubt on this shit? No reporters, producers or members of the press are listed as close contacts by the White House Medical Unit, which is fundamentally not true, because the morning of the same day that this took place, she was there wearing no mask, talking to reporters. They're a death cult, these people. They're a fucking death cult. They don't give a fuck if they kill you. Honest to God. But, Trump went on the most amazing binge of nonsense you've ever seen today on Twitter. Which is saying something, really. It was arguably less racist than previous things. But here, right, it's just mad, right? So if we scroll back, the one tweet that everyone was like, "Oh, that's nice, I'm glad he said that," was "Going well, I think. Thank you to all. Love." Oh, bless. Doctors and nurses are doing great. And then he put out this video, fuck him. And then this morning American time, he just went a bit fucking mental and just started shouting at the world like a crazy old man. "Stock market's high, vote. Strongest ever military, vote. Law and order, vote. Religious liberty, vote. That one's especially funny given that he literally wanted to ban Muslims from entering America. But religious liberty, you know, vote. Biggest tax cut ever, and another one coming. Mainly went to rich people, and there's no way you can guarantee another one's coming. That's not in your gift. 401k, vote. Best VA ever, 91% approval rating, vote. Space Force, vote. Massive regulations cuts, vote. Again, along with the tax cuts for the rich. Another way in which right-wing populism fucks over the poorest. Pro-life, vote, even though you just endangered the lives of 14 service personnel and, of course, the people who did your fucking makeup for these ghoulish pictures, you mental case. Better and cheaper healthcare, vote. Protect pre-existing conditions, vote, even though you literally tried to get rid of pre-existing conditions as a thing. Fight the corrupt fake news media, vote. Save our Second Amendment, vote. Peace through strength. Bring our soldiers home, vote. Peace through strength. Have you know... Is it just me that gets some very, very strong 1984 vibes? Some real strong fucking Big Brother energy going on there. Just in case anyone was wondering as to the final destination of this particular train ride. Jesus. Is that where it stopped? That's where it stopped, yeah. So we had all of that. So I had a bit of fun with it, myself. I thought I'd do a similar thing. And I think mine are better than his. They're certainly less nonsense. Badgers aren't real, vote. Free chocolate, vote. Pubic freedom, vote. Manky swans can he read, vote. Guns are people, vote. When you close your eyes, does the world disappear? Vote. A Nintendo Wii in every home, vote. That's a spicy one. Legs, vote. Typing with your feet, vote. Tax cuts for donkeys, vote. Hunchback electro freakout, vote. Game of Thrones, vote. John Johnson did nothing wrong, vote. That one is a little history joke for you. John Johnson was the name given by Guy Fawkes when he was initially arrested. Just saying. Stamp collecting is sexy, vote. And that final one, that is a hill I'm prepared to die on, okay? Don't test me, motherfuckers. Anyway, so, Donald Trump's fucking mental, which is fun. It's good to have a guy at the top of the political food chain who's absolutely full of shit, as always. How are we in the chitty chats? I am a bear, vote. Nice. Word salad, vote. Good. All good suggestions. Ignorance is strength, vote. Yeah. Anyway, yes. How are we in the chats? Yes. Oh, hello, Step Back History. Thank you for your cheeky little raid there. Tristan's awesome. Go and subscribe to Step Back History if you're on the YouTubes and Step Back History on Twitch as well. If that's a thing that you do. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Anyway, but if you do, go for it. And and hello to the new people. How are we all? Yes. Coming through loud and clear. Awesome. Good. What's a Manky Swan Can You Read? That is a silly joke based on some fantastic graffiti. Where people were abusing verbally, or in terms of text, abusing abusing swans, basically. That's the gist of what that was. Anyway, yeah. I hope the history people were there for the John Johnson joke, because that is a solid history joke. That is a quality history joke. Albeit a spicy take, because, you know. But anyway, so, yes. So basically, Donald Trump is a complete fuck up who's messing the American people around with COVID and fucking up his own people. But arguably, he's doing less of a shit job than the British government are. I know. Trust me. This is mind blowing. Now, get ready for what can only be described as kind of what would be a kind of mass manslaughter of the British people via ludicrous boomerism. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds like some sort of outlandish nonsense, does it not? Does it not, dear viewer? But I assure you that's precisely what this is. That's precisely what this fucking nonsense is, right? The British government have spent, and hang on a second, I need to get that tweet up as well, don't I, if I'm going to fucking da-da-da. The British government have spent £12 billion, 12 billion with a B, pounds of taxpayers' money on this track and trace system. £12 billion, there you go, from Sarah Sultana, Member of Parliament, okay? For Coventry, where was it? Coventry South, there you go. £12 billion on the various aborted attempts to get a track and trace system, which most other countries have done via open source software very, very simply. And much more cheaply. But the UK government is right wing as fuck and has decided that it has to be done via like private companies, and private companies are shit. £12 billion of public money have been put into this, and 16,000 missing coronavirus tests were caused by a glitch by a large Excel spreadsheet file. Yes, that's right. The British government, having spent £12 billion of taxpayers' money on this, was storing personal medical data on Excel spreadsheets. Not just that, they didn't think to split them into files that could fit into an Excel spreadsheet. So tens of thousands of tests just sort of disappeared from the numbers. £12 billion, which for Americans is what, about 18 billion dollars? Yeah. Almost 16,000 cases of coronavirus in the UK went unreported because a glitch caused by an Excel spreadsheet, it was reported. By the way, who the fuck is still using Excel? Outside of someone like high school kids, maybe? I don't know. I haven't been a high school kid in a long time. Public Health England, PAG, said 15,841 daily COVID cases between the 25th of September to the 2nd of October had been left out of the UK totals. The error has caused delays in tracking the contacts of people who tested positive, thereby endangering the lives of fuck knows how many tens of thousands of people. Possibly even hundreds of thousands, who knows. On Monday, the Press Association, PA, news organisation reported the problem was caused by a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet reaching its maximum file size. Yeah. The Excel spreadsheet reached its maximum file and no one even noticed. £12 billion. And we're still using Excel, and we still can't use Excel properly. We don't even have the technical expertise, apparently, to use an Excel spreadsheet properly. It's fucking madness. This is madness. This prevented new names being added in an automated process, it said. PA, so Press Association, said files have now been split into smaller batches to prevent the error from happening again. Well, I'm glad you've learnt from that. That's really good. For £12 billion, I'd have expected you not to make the mistake in the first place, you dickheads. By the way, Excel spreadsheets aren't allowed to be used for the storage of private data by local councils. But the national government is like, yeah, this is private medical information. Fuck it. So Dr. Rosanna Allen Khan, who's another member of Parliament, for where? Let's have a look. Fuck it. Tooting, which is a part of London. The, quote, world-beating, end quote, Circa test and trace system is being run on Excel instead of database software, which caused the latest issues. Next they'll tell us it runs on Windows 95 and they manually back it up on floppy disks each night. Yeah, that's a quality burn. That's just a quality burn here. The British government are unspeakably shit. Unspeakably shit. They do not know what they're doing. This is $12 billion boomerism. Fucking boomerism. Jesus. Anyway. It's so unbelievably frustrating. We're supposedly a first world nation and we can't even get this basic shit right. And not just that, we can't get it right for 12. We can't even throw money at the problem. Oh, God. Previously, Public Health England said the issue was caused by some data files reporting positive tests resulting exceeding the maximum file size. Meanwhile, a government minister defended the error, saying, "We can't change history." No one's saying you can change history. You can not be shit, though. That isn't an option.
First of all, can we just talk about test and trace? Because we know now that a technical glitch has meant nearly 6...
By the way, this woman on the right here is Theresa Coffey, who's a government minister, and is also shit.
15,000 cases of coronavirus went unreported. This was meant to be a world-beating test and trace system. What happened?
I think it's important to stress that the people who had the tests got their results, and I'm conscious that PHE...
That's not the question, is it? No one's saying they didn't get the results. We're saying they weren't entered into the file, so the numbers weren't there. The numbers you were giving to people were incorrect. And the track and trace element, the those people had come into contact with, were never informed until it was far too late. Now, hopefully all of those people didn't catch anything, but in all likelihood many of them did. And you could have given them a head start, and you failed. Yet another long list of people who you have killed with this. The British government are... This is like... I don't know, is there a midway point between murder and manslaughter? Because that's basically what the British government have been doing. It's a little bit more active than manslaughter, although it's not necessarily direct murder. So it's somewhere in between the two. Aggravated manslaughter, is that a thing? I don't know.
Had this glitch, but they identified it, so it is being rectified, and so that we can get those the contacts potentially into the system and being contacted as is appropriate, as decided by the test and trace regime.
So PHE, confirming what you're saying all those who tested positive were informed. But what it means, and this is really important, isn't it, that those others in close contact with them were not. So they could have been out and about spreading the virus and they would have no idea.
So I recognise that, and we can't change the recent history. We are now made sure, I think PHE will make sure that this sort of error does not happen again.
Again, it's so fundamentally dishonest to say it's we can't change recent history. No one's saying you can. We're saying, A, you people should not be in charge of this. You clearly can't fucking handle it. And B, why are we spending all this money on a private company when they clearly can't do the job? Because you people are fucking obsessed with pouring public money into private businesses. Because, heaven forbid, a nationalised industry would actually be allowed to work. That would be crazy talk, wouldn't it? You cunts.
But they did pick up this error, and I think have acted quickly to try and rectify it.
Can you put a number on how many people it might have been? Because, this will have been spreading, won't it?
I'm afraid I just don't have that information.
They don't even know. They don't even know how many people will have come into contact with them. So what this is not a track and trace system. This is a waste of public money. In fact, worse than that, people have some semblance of faith that this might be working, lulling them into a false sense of security that the government knows what they're doing or has their back, when they don't.
Was news I was briefed on at the same similar time as other people to make sure that trying to understand
Evil
exactly
bastards, man.
what was going on. But I am assured that PHE have found the error. We're putting that through the computer system, and the testing, tracing, contacting as appropriate will be happening straight away.
Just fuck off. Shadow Health Secretary John Ashcroft, who is basically a northerner in a suit, that is all, said of the glitch, "This is shambolic and people across the country will be understandably alarmed." Yeah, that's fair. Oh, God almighty, what a fucking... what a shambles. What a fucking joke. This government in this country are a joke. And the thing is, right, you'll notice that it was Public Health England that had to respond to this. Because this is the whole point, right? As much as I feel the people in general don't deserve any of this, I'm not suggesting they do, but Tory England got what they wanted. Okay? Tory England voted for this kind of shit. They voted for increased privatisation. They voted for a government who did not give a solitary fuck about the British people. Because they had to get Brexit done. Not just that, but they're having to get Brexit done in the most destructive way possible. So I don't feel sorry for the English people, even though I am one of them. I'm as fucking vulnerable to this as anybody else. I just feel sorry for Scotland and Wales, who we're dragging down with us. They didn't vote for this, by and large. Some Tories exist everywhere, I suppose, but Wales and Scotland didn't vote for this nonsense. They've consistently not voted for this nonsense, and Tory England have dragged them to the depths of this fucking shambles. It's infuriating. And you ask me, or not you specifically, but people in general ask me to be patriotic towards this fucking shower. Fuck off. Just fuck off away from me. Anyway. So those are the really, really serious topics for today. Okay. So on to Tim Pool, otherwise known as Tim Pool, who is an idiot, is an obvious grifting piece of garbage, and is a complete Trump shill. In case anyone didn't know that already, of course. He put this out. This was from like last week or the week before. This is about as wrong as you can get. He said, quote, "You can be on the left and be against abortion and gay marriage. Not really. You can be on the left and believe that our healthcare system and education are exactly as they should be. Definitely not. And you can be on the left and understand that Trump is the greatest president in US history. No, Tim. Bad Pim. That is the dumbest thing. Is the dumbest thing ever. We'll get on to the video he put out yesterday. Gonna have a little watch of that in just a second. Which is him essentially trying to desperately scrape together any statistical information he can find to make it look like Trump isn't getting devastated. But first, this is an animation
climate change
someone made, and if you enjoy sleeping, being able to sleep without having horrific dreams of Tim Pool's bald head coming to life, look away now.
I can't possibly have babies because of climate change.
This is right, which is nonsense.
No.
But I do think it's crazy that I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man. You know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me. I think it's everybody else.
Fucking hell. That's a thing. Hope everyone enjoyed that. There was an echo. Why is there an echo? Was there an? Is it echoing for everyone else? Hello? Hello? I'll wait for everyone to respond if there's any nonsense. Yeah, Lovecraft did get weird. That was some eldritch horror bullshit, man. I walk away for a couple of minutes and came back to that thing. Well, firstly, what are you doing walking away from my stream? The fuck is going on there? Outrageous. Apparently there's no echo on Twitch. So is someone pulling my plonker on YouTube? Oh god, I need to stop listening to the chat. It's full of people doing people shit. I needed a cup of tea. Are you British by any chance? Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be taking a look at a Tim Pool video from like yesterday or the day before, where he desperately tries to scrape together any information he can for Daddy Trump to make it look like he's not being absolutely devastated in the polls. Not Polish people, in the voting polls. Anyway, shall we take a look at Tim Pool talking shit? Well, yeah, obviously that's exactly what we're going to do.
While Trump's doctors say that everything is going well and they may even discharge him tomorrow, you have many...
Also, notice how he plays with his shirt like this. It's really annoying. And I know it's probably just like a nervous tick. Like I have nervous ticks or whatever. Like when I'm filming or doing these, I notice I scratch the top of my head. I'll go a bit Stan Laurel, even though my head isn't itchy. Well, it gets itchy in the sense that I think that it's itchy, but it's not really. I don't have like nits or anything. I don't have fleas. It's just like a nervous tick. It's just it feels nice. So I shouldn't really propose, but it's just slightly annoying. Like I don't know if it's a nervous tick or what it is exactly, but I get the sense that Tim Pool would not be a great poker player. Is all I'm saying. I think I can read his tells.
Journalists speculating that Donald Trump is near his deathbed. I'm kind of exaggerating, but...
Yeah, you are kind of exaggerating. No one's really speculating that. We're hoping that. I've got my fucking fingers crossed like a bastard. Even though I just punched the microphone with my crossed fingers. That's a symbol. That clearly shows something. I don't know what. But I don't think anyone's really speculating that because it's far too early to tell. And also, how would we even know with Trump and his team of lying bastards? He could be dead for weeks and we would never know. Well, not never know, but there'd be no absolute conclusive proof because he just talks shit all the time. That's precisely what he is and what he does. Mike punch! Quite so. I punch all people called Michael. That's a joke.
There are some people saying things must be worse than they're really letting on. Why would they give Donald Trump this medicine? Could it be?
Yeah. Why would they give him that medicine if he was feeling super duper awesome? Usually people who are in the first flush of health don't need oxygen and steroids and a combination of experimental drugs, which lots of other people don't get, by the way, because socialised medicine for Donald Trump, death for everyone else. Again, as I said yesterday, I don't know how guillotines aren't being erected. I'm not calling for that to happen. I'm just saying the fact that it hasn't happened is, from a historical point of view, not from my point of view, from a historical point of view, disappointing.
That he's the president and they will spare no expense to keep him healthy?
Yeah, you're a bootlicking garbage bag, Tim, yeah. Yeah, obviously he's the president, they'll try and do that. Now, in a system where everyone gets good healthcare, the fact that the president is like they pull out all the stops isn't the end of the world. In a system where tens of millions of people have zero health coverage, and yet he gets put up in a palatial mansion inside a private hospital, again, guillotines are a thing. From a historical point of view, not from my point of view, violence is always bad. Naughty. From a historical point of view, however, where terms of service don't necessarily apply, that is an option that some people in the past have used in certain situations which could be akin to the current situation that you see in America. But again, violence is bad. Okay.
Well, outside of all the speculation, there's a bigger question. How will this impact the election? And based on the fact that you clicked this video, you probably already know because I put it in the title. Trump's poll.
You did put it in the title. COVID has actually helped him, which it hasn't. There's been virtually no improvement in the numbers. New poll shows Trump beating Biden nationally, which is what we call a massive outlier, which can basically be ignored.
Polls have not necessarily improved, but a new poll...
They've not necessarily improved. Fucking hell.
Shows from the Democracy Institute, shows that...
From the Democracy Institute, by the way, which is led by a guy who works for the Cato Institute. Yes. Known bastion of impartiality, the Cato Institute.
More people, that 19% of people polled say they're more likely to vote for Trump due to his COVID diagnosis. We can see from
you
the
can't
likes
even see him on the screen,
BuzzFeed
can you? I've just realised that. Apologies. I need to shrink it back down. Sorry, everyone. You can't watch a Pim Tool video without being able to see the Pimster himself. Big pimpin'.
538. When they say, how will Trump's positive COVID-19 test affect the election? I don't know. Yeah, okay, how about you wait for some polling? This is from from express.co.uk, U.S. election poll. Trump beating Biden despite being hospitalized with COVID. Exclusive.
Exclusive! It's from the Express, which is a shit rag. It's an awful newspaper, ridiculously biased. Tim Pool always gets his news from like right-wing sources. This is actually less extreme than many of the right-wing sources he usually uses, like Andy No, for instance.
Donald Trump's illness with coronavirus has not impacted his push to win a second term in the White House, an exclusive poll has revealed. While the poll does show that Trump is winning, it does show he's gone down a little bit, but...
So even in the ridiculously biased study that he wants to cite, which is obviously a statistical outlier because most polls have Biden between 6 and 10 points clear, in that kind of range, so not even in the margin of error, this has Trump up like 1% or 2%, and even in that poll, he's still dropped by like 2%. But this is good news for Trump. Trump should be happy about that, or something.
It shows that many people are more likely to vote for him, so he is getting a boost among this group of people. I guess the best way I could break this poll down is that Trump probably was doing a bit worse than he was from the previous poll, but he's actually improved a little bit because of his COVID diagnosis.
No. Even in your poll you're about to cite, he went down. So the thing about him actually having helped him is not true. And again, it's a statistical outlier, which can be... It's not necessarily completely wrong. Polling can be wrong, but if we're going to take polling data as something, which I think we should, this is an outlier. The ones that have Biden 20 points clear and the ones that have Trump 2 points clear should be kind of separated out as statistical anomalies for now. But no, you're going to go with this because you're desperately trying to spin any narrative you can that Trump's going to win. Because you desperately want him to win.
This is kind of just my analysis and opinion, so it very well could be wrong, which is why I'm going to show you a bunch of other data. Trump's approval rating right now is actually well above average for his presidency. Interesting and pretty good for the president.
Can you conceal your glee? Oh, Mr. Centrist. And also, his approval rating has been in the tank virtually the entire time, so the fact that it's slightly better is irrelevant. Because his disapproval's also higher than it's been before, so...
But much of the polls are showing that Joe Biden is winning. And you got to understand, as everyone goes out right now saying the polls were wrong in 2016, no. The polls were slightly off. The pundits were wrong.
Now, the thing is, right, he's correct in that sentence. Tim Pool is actually correct. Yeah, clip me saying that. Tim Pool is actually correct on this regard, right? Or in this regard. The polls weren't particularly wrong. Some were. Generally, the statistical trends showed that Clinton was just ahead. But it was within the margin of error, and it was a statistical quirk of tens of thousands of votes split across 3 states that won it. Like, it's almost impossible for him to have done it once, and to repeat that would be phenomenal. I mean, just unbelievably fortuitous. But the thing is, even though he's now correct, he has been lying, therefore, or ignorant, one of the two, for the past 4 years, or 3 years since Trump actually won. Because he's been saying the polls were wrong, the polls were wrong, the polls were wrong. And now the polls are so overwhelmingly in Biden's favour, he now says, well, it was the pundits that were wrong, or something. Like, I don't even know where he's going with this. I genuinely, he's just so desperately clutching at straws. Look at his little face. Wearing a beanie indoors. What a dopey prick.
It is not looking good for Trump, even with 1 or 2 good polls. But I'm going to try and do my best to break down for you why it could be good news, why it might not be.
See, yeah, even though it's really bad, I'm going to try and spin a narrative that it's actually good for Trump. Because I'm a hack. Yeah! Look, he barely even tries to hide it anymore. It's so paper thin, the facade. It's pathetic.
And we'll cut through the noise, and I'll give you an honest assessment about what this
an
really
honest
means for Trump's
assessment.
chances. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work. There are many ways you can give. There is a P.O. box if you would like to send me stuff, but the best thing you can do, share this video. I'm going to do my best to give you a balanced view of what the polls really mean.
He's not. Don't share this video. Share my video of this video. Yeah. But don't share his video. Fuck him. And yeah, he's not going to give any kind of balanced view of anything. Ever. You just heard him. Apparently you can be on the left and accept that Donald Trump is the greatest president in American history. Not that Donald Trump is doing an okay job. Which, again, would still be wrong, I think, from a left-wing perspective. But at least would be vaguely in the ballpark of maybe there's one person on the left who believes that or something. I don't know. But to believe he's the greatest president in American history, you're a fucking idiot, Tim. Or at least you know your fans are idiotic enough to lap that shit up.
And to be completely honest, it doesn't look very good for Donald Trump, but there is an argument that Trump is actually winning. In fact, this poll I'm going to show you claims that Trump is...
It's an outlier, Tim. It's an outlier. There's virtually no election in history where there wasn't at least 1 or 2 polls that had the obvious loser in the lead. It happens. Because you get crooked numbers, as is the case here, or you just get weird quirks, anomalies, bad sampling perhaps, who knows. But either way, this so obviously bucks the trend of all the other polls, even the Fox News polls, even the OAN fucking poll that they refused to release, but the numbers got released and leaked from an insider that showed that Trump was still, even an OAN obviously rigged poll, Biden was still ahead like 3 points. Ridiculous.
Is winning, and that they're not doing these weird weighted polling games all the other polls are doing. And of course...
No, but again, he makes that sound like that's a conspiracy, like they're weighting them in favour of Biden. No, they're trying to get it balanced. They're trying to actually give you some sort of truthful analysis, rather than just ringing up a dozen random people and hoping that'll do.
Of course, like I mentioned, Donald Trump's approval's above average, but more importantly, his favorability
above average. It's not much better. Above average for him, which isn't that great.
Better now than when he got elected in the first place, which says something very interesting, at least according to Nate Silver of 538. If you think my assessment is rational and reasonable, please consider sharing this video. It's the best way for me to grow and compete with the likes of mainstream media. But also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's read the news.
Don't do those things for him. Do them for me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's down there. Click on the bell button. Finger a goat. Don't do that.
It says Trump is beating Biden despite being hospitalized with COVID. They say the monthly Democracy Institute Sunday Express poll for the presidential election shows that Mr. Trump is still on course for victory, with 46% of popular support compared to his Democrat rival Joe Biden's 45%.
So you found one poll that's obviously biased, and even then, he's 1 point in the lead. 1 point. Shall we take a look? As you specifically mentioned, was it 538 or whatever it was called? I can never remember which year. 538. There we go. Look at that. The national polling has Biden up by an average of 8.2%. 8.2% as an average. And that's been pretty consistent for a long time now. And actually you can see in the last few days, it's actually gone, Trump's numbers have dipped slightly and Biden's have gone up slightly. So, I mean, you found one poll where Trump's up 1% and you're going to try and spin that into Trump's winning? The fuck is wrong with you?
However, his overall lead has dropped by 2 points since the last poll in September. Well, let's figure out what's going on. The poll was completed after...
Excuse me. I will continue to nag. I will continue to nag all of you, okay? Subscribe to my fucking YouTube channel. Go and follow me on Twitch. Do all of that. My social media's below. Go and follow all of them. Algorithm me to fuck. I am a silly person.
After the news broke that President Trump and his wife Melania have been infected by COVID-19. But 68% said the illness would not affect their vote, while 19% said they were more likely to support Trump, and only 13% were less likely. So let's stop for a second. What does that mean? They say Trump's lead dropped a little bit. It could be that in the midst of this month, okay, the first poll that comes out last month says Trump is doing really well, two points higher than it is today. It drops down, but it probably would have been a lot lower if not for COVID.
How do you know that? Tim, you're just making shit up now. You're saying, even though it was dropping, it would have dropped more, which you have no evidence for at all. You're just interjecting that for no fucking reason. To the point where, what, he would have been below Trump, even in this biased poll? Mad. Absolutely fucking mad.
Because they say 68% say it won't affect their vote. 19% said they were more likely to support Trump. Only 13% said less likely. Thus, it seems that Trump did get a boost due to his COVID diagnosis.
Not really. 6% of people more said they were more likely, but again, that doesn't mean that won't actually necessarily translate to anything. You've not shown anything. Neither of the things you're claiming here mean anything in the title for this. Mean anything, Tim? You're just full of shit, mate.
Almost 2/3 said they felt sympathy and concern for the president, while 38% said him getting the disease was karma, an indication of the.
Yeah, that's fair.
Current divisive nature of U.S. politics, but only what is that? 38%. That means there's probably a lot of Democrats that are like, nah, I'm not playing that game.
So, what does that mean? There are 38% of people. Over a third of the country said it was karma, Tim. That means nothing, but apparently just because there are some Democrats who are like, I'm not playing that game, that means they're super in love with Trump. Could you lick this boot any harder? There won't be any fucking polish left on the bastard thing when you're done with it. Fucking hell.
Actually, Mr. Trump's lead in key swing states included Florida, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, remaining at 4% by 47% to 43%. That's really interesting. This gives a projected electoral
really interesting
college split of 320 to Trump and 218 to Biden.
Which is, again, obviously an outlier. Obviously an outlier. Look at all these numbers. In recent days, look at that. There are several that have Biden 10 plus points clear. The narrowest is 8%. You go back a little bit more, and there are more double digits. 8, 6, 7, 10, 10, 11. It's just not... God. And specifically about the Electoral College thing. Look at this. Look at this. Motherfucker. Look how more likely it is. Biden wins in their prediction thing. Biden wins by 81 of 100 times. The best Trump can do is 353, sorry. And then there's an outlier that has Biden at nearly 500, which is mental. And there's one tie in there, which is interesting. That'd be imagine that if there was a fucking tie, there'd be a civil war. But look at all these. There are strong clusters in the big margins here. 370, 334. There are some narrow ones as well, 274s and stuff. But look at that, Tim. Look at the fucking numbers. There's way more chance of Biden. And look at this. In recent days, it's gone from September the 2nd, so a month ago, it was 70 in 100 to Biden, up to 81 now. Electoral votes. Again, it's gone from 313, which is still fucking healthy, to 336 on average. So no, I mean, your one here that has Trump getting 320 is obviously a statistical outlier. Where's 320 here? 328, 315. So, according to this, there are only 5 instances out of the 100 where Trump would get that victory or larger. 5 out of 100. 1/20th. Tim, this is a statistical outlier. Mainly because it's obviously fucking bent. It's fraudulent. It is corrupt.
While other polls have Biden ahead. The Democracy Institute, which correctly predicted Brexit and Trump's win in 2016, I
looked into that, by the way. Lots of other polls actually had Brexit winning very narrowly, which it did, obviously. But obviously the statistical prominence was for the Yes campaign, to the Remain campaign, as it were, to win. But actually several had them up there. And the Democracy Institute actually only had Brexit winning in the last couple of days. Its polling before that had Remain winning. So they weren't like some foresight geniuses on this one. They just weren't. And again, as you conceded before, in the beginning of this video, it wasn't the polls that were wrong about Trump, it was the pundits. The pundits went overboard with their confidence. Now, I'm not even going to defend the pundits, fuck them. The point is, Tim, you've already admitted the polling wasn't wrong with Trump, so the fact that the Democracy Institute guessed right on this one is irrelevant, really. It's not, they don't have some great insight into the situation that other people don't have.
Considers people who identify as likely voters rather than all registered voters, and also asks about the so-called shy vote. Interesting. The Democracy Institute is one of the polls that got Brexit right. Nobody thought Brexit was going to happen. For those that aren't familiar, that's when the UK voted to leave the European Union. Nobody thought that would happen.
That's not true, Tim. You are a liar. Or an ignorant prick. One of the two. In either case, shut up. There were several polls in the days leading up to it that had it either a 50-50 tie or Brexit narrowly winning. Which they did narrowly win.
And it did. And then nobody thought Trump would win. And then it did.
No, again, that's not true, Tim. There were several polls that had Trump narrowly winning, and we already know that in order for a Democrat to actually win the overall electoral college, they have to win like 52, 53% of the vote or whatever to realistically do that, because the electoral college is fixed. The people of fucking Nebraska or Montana, where no one fucking lives, have a ridiculous overinflation in terms of their what each voter's value is to the thing. It's ridiculous. Why can't he be? I suppose he could. He is ignorant in many respects, and he's a lying prick. But I mean, specifically in the instance of the Brexit thing, I don't think he can be both on that particular point. He is a mixture of both in general, though.
You see, the polls weren't wrong, sort of. They were off a little bit because they undercounted non-college educated white voters. But the pundits were wrong. It's really simple. When they looked at all the data, they said Hillary Clinton's got a lead in all of these categories. That means she's going to win all these states. Therefore, her chance of winning is 90%, 95%, 99%.
Yeah, statistically, it was a fucking anomaly. It's almost unimaginable the amount of luck Trump had in winning that election, given the fact that he lost the popular vote by that amount. Was it 50,000 votes over 3 states or some ridiculous number? Which is, I mean, that's the toss of a coin. Shit.
But when the votes actually came in, it was only around 80,000 votes total across the country that gave Donald Trump his electoral college victory.
Yeah.
Now, in my opinion, the conditions that got Donald Trump elected have only worsened. Thus, I do believe Trump is on track to win, and this makes sense to me. But it would...
What's that based? What do you mean, the thing that got him elected? Racism? Idiocy? American exceptionalism in the face of all reality? Yeah, those things have gotten worse, I suppose. But that doesn't really mean a lot, because also he's pissed off a bunch of people. Because he's full of shit.
It'd be foolish to just ignore all of the data and pretend like Trump is in the lead.
But you're going to do it anyway.
You better recognize, first and foremost, Trump can win. Absolutely. In fact, he may be favored to win.
He may be favourite to win. What the fuck are you doing? He says on the one hand, we can't ignore all the data, but he may be favourite to win. Motherfucker, look at this. What are you talking about? Look at this, you fucking idiot. That was updated 7 minutes ago as well. No. How is he remotely favourite to win? Look at these numbers. Tim. Look at that shit. Don't fucking tell me he might be favourite. You dickhead. He's so full of shit. He's so desperate to spin any tiny little narrative he possibly can to make it look like Trump's the Billy Big Bollocks. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that he won't win. I don't fucking know, and I certainly don't trust the American people. As I've said before, democracy doesn't work. I'm joking. But I certainly don't trust the American fucking people to make the right choice. They didn't in 2016. However shit Hillary Clinton was, Trump has been a fucking disaster. And yet he's still polling at, what, 42%? Jesus Christ. How embarrassing, America. You need to sort your fucking education system out. And so do we. I mean, look, I've just shown you fucking Excel spreadsheet COVID manslaughter bullshit going on here. Fucking hell. To talk about the Western world fucking crumbling, it's the right-wing populists that are doing it. They're a joke. The last flailings of the pathetic, mediocre white man. God damn it. Anyway, so I'm not saying Trump won't win. It's perfectly plausible he could. With the rigged system and the fact that he's desperately trying everything he can. Fuck over the postal service. Remove as many ballots as you possibly can. You've got fucking Jacob Wall and Lance Berkman doing their robocalls trying to suppress vote. And God knows what else. God knows what else they're going to try and fucking pull out. Because in a fair fight, they know they can't win. Statistically, look at it. They can't win that fair. But if they can take 5 points off Biden, and and maybe steal a couple of points themselves elsewhere, all of a sudden it becomes a winnable race again. It's within the margin of error, But there we go.
Of course, many of the polls, 538, say he's not. But we don't know for sure. If we go by the data, and 538 was fairly accurate, well then, Joe Biden is going to win. So what this means...
What's SVD? No, VSD. Someone said, VSD is strong tonight. Should I know what that is? Am I boomering out there? I don't know. I'll wait for your response. No, that's not right. I've gone onto the wrong fucking page again. God, I'm shit at this. And I make no apologies for it. Hello to the people in the Twitch as well. I haven't forgotten you. And he will get nothing for it. A pardon for conceding his election loss. Yeah, that might be a thing. That might be a thing. And to be honest, this is the point, right? Actually, whilst I'm waiting for your VSD response, violent, sexy dancing, you melt. I am a melt. I am a melt. I'm not a fascist slag though, so you know, swings and roundabouts. Yeah. In terms of pardoning Trump, from Biden's perspective, yeah, Trump might say, you know, if I can see the election, will you pardon me? Blah blah blah. That seems perfectly plausible that Trump will try and pull some shit like that. And he might get away with it because from Biden's perspective, Biden is not some radical leftist extremist as Trump desperately tries to convince us he is. It would be awesome if he was, but he isn't. He isn't fucking remotely. But there is a case to be made, and I don't fucking agree with it for a second, but there is a case to be made from the perspective of national unity. That might be the best thing to do. It's not the best thing to do for justice, which is the purpose I try and serve in this world, is to try and see justice be done. But from like a national unity perspective, in the same way that Nixon had a lot of supporters and they would have been really pissed off if he'd end up in jail, Trump supporters are way more rabid and I would argue way more numerous than Nixon supporters after Watergate. And just fucking crazy enough that they might spark some dumb shit off, that maybe it might be best to just essentially try and forget that Trump happened. Just pardon him and let him die in peace. And hope his fans kind of chill the fuck out a bit. Now, I'm not arguing that that's the thing he should do, because I don't think he should kowtow to fucking criminals and domestic terrorists. I'm just saying it might be the easier, more sensible approach. From his perspective. Just putting that out there. I'm not saying I want that to happen. Just saying it's a thing. It's an option, isn't it? And Biden is pretty milquetoast. So why would he? Why would he bother? You know. Christy said you were a slag, just not a fascist. Oh, thank you. Is Christy in? Or did she say that just more broadly? I don't know. He is leaving Walter Reed at 6:30 already, claiming he has beat the virus and claiming the cure. What a surprise. Is he? Oh, well, that's... yeah, okay. They're all going to be, oh, look at Trump, he's amazing. Even though the doctors did all of that. Ah, well. So, the Comrade Rona fucked it again. Poor form. Poor form.
Says, if you're a Trump voter or a Biden voter, whatever, you need to go and vote.
If you're a Trump voter or a Biden voter, look, he's so transparent what he's trying to do.
Period. Don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. Just go vote. Seriously. Let's read a little bit more. They say this shows that 77% of Trump supporters would not.
I will be leaving the Great Walter Reed Hospital today at 6:30 p.m. Feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. We have developed under the Trump administration some really great drugs and knowledge. I will feel better than I did 20 years ago. That's nonsense. And did you say, yeah, he was saying, oh, I've learned a lot about COVID. Well, only now you've learnt about it. The fuck is wrong with you? Why have you only just learnt this shit? It's been here since fucking March or whenever. February, March. He's a fucking idiot.
Admit to friends or family members.
The fact that he hasn't died of this shows me rather conclusively there is no God. I mean, it's already what I believed anyway, but there we go. Confirmed.
Other controversies appear to have had little impact on the election, with around 8 in 10 voters saying that the nomination of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court has changed their position. Although Trump got more favorable support, 12%, than unfavorable, 9%.
Yeah, exactly. If anything shows the falseness of right-wing populism, it's the fact that he's had these fantastic drugs because he's a rich, powerful dude. Everyone else can fuck themselves, though. Again, from a historical point of view, I don't support this. That would be violent, and violence is always bad. Okay? Always bad. But, from a historical point of view, guillotines exist. but you shouldn't use them because violence is bad.
After a first bad-tempered debate in the election, 32% said Trump won, and 18% said Biden, but half thought it was a draw, and more than 7 in 10 said it made no difference to how they would vote. I think it's fairly obvious. That's exactly right. It'll make no difference. But let's talk about some more data here. Take a look at this from Real Clear Politics.
I'll be honest, I've stopped listening to Tim Pool then. I didn't even know what he said. Who cares?
This isn't getting...
I think he was saying some dumb shit about it not mattering. Okay.
Talked about enough. Donald Trump's approval rating took a hard dip, and this was around July. Interestingly, it's just after the peak of the riots. With the rise of Black Lives Matter, Trump's approval rating was absolutely tanking, and his disapproval was skyrocketing. But then things started to shift. Around the same time that support for Black Lives Matter began to plummet, and it has.
It has, but he's not going to show us that. He's not going to show us that at all. Should we look it up? I genuinely don't even know if that's true or not. But he's not going to show us, so we'll look for it. American support for BLM polling. Down since June, still strong. Okay, where are we at? Okay, so all adults, it's gone from 67% to 55%. So, I mean, not tanking exactly. Not going in the right direction, but not tanking. That's obviously ridiculous. And it's mainly Republicans anyway, because, I don't know, they don't support the blacks in general. And again, I say the blacks because that's the way they refer to them. But yeah, so it's not tanking, Tim. You're full of shit.
Support for Black Lives Matter, according to Civics polling, is lower now than it was last year, which is...
But again, I don't trust your polling for shit, because your polling's obviously nonsense.
Really bad. If they just stopped rioting, they would have beaten Trump easily.
Yeah, because when they were doing the not rioting by just taking a knee, that worked really well. Colin Kaepernick still can't get into the fucking NFL, even though he's clearly good enough. So you're talking shit. There is not a black or any kind of marginalised or impoverished group protest in America that the Republicans won't shit on. Conservatives don't care about those people. They are happy for them to be murdered by the police en masse. So don't talk shit, Tim.
But they couldn't help themselves. Joe Biden's campaign...
They couldn't help themselves because the blacks are just naturally criminals, obviously. They couldn't help themselves.
Started bailing these people out. Kamala Harris solicited donations to bail out the rioters, and the...
Motherfucker. You and your cunt bags just raised $500,000 for Kyle Rittenhouse, a murderer. So eat my fucking asshole.
Riots are continuing to this day. Over time, in the past month or two, Donald Trump's approval rating in the aggregate, I'm not talking about one poll, is now up to 45.3%, which is absolutely significant when you take a look at what his approval polling has been throughout his campaign. It's been in the low 40s, 43, 44, probably averaging around 42 or 43. As of right now, Trump's approval rating is back on course to what it has been. Now, as much as we can point out that Biden leads by 10 points, as majority of Americans say Trump could have avoided coronavirus.
Have I seen what, sorry? Dave Rubin saying he does not support trans supremacy. I do. I support trans supremacy. As the CEO of Antifa, my trans department are supreme.
We can take a look at these things. I want to show you this tweet. Seeing a lot of, is 2020 really different from 2016? Trump could win the election, but the polling story is unquestionably different. Compared to Clinton, Biden consistently has had a lot more support, and his lead has been far more steady.
So, I don't even know why he's showing us this, because this is really strange. How can Trump possibly be considered to be the favourite for this? Which is what you said earlier, Tim. I think he's just trying to scare Trump supporters into definitely going and voting, but...
Take a look at this. Whatever. This is a tweet comparing Hillary Clinton's support for Joe Biden's. At the time, as of right now, Hillary Clinton's support was awful, and Joe Biden's...
This bit here, that must have been grabbing pussy. mustn't it? That must have been. Look at that spike. Sarah.
Average in the national polls is actually substantially higher than Hillary Clinton's was. And we can look at basically the same thing. This is average margin in national polls. Hillary Clinton is lower than where Joe Biden was, suggesting.
So, hang on. Look at that. Look where that is, Tim. +8 on average, and this was from from yesterday, whatever. It's about 8 point whatever percent. How the fuck can you look at one poll where it has Trump at 1%, which is statistically again an anomaly? It's like 10 points off where the average is, which is therefore not necessarily worth taking into account at this stage. And say that makes Trump the favourite? The fuck is wrong with you? Again, this must have been that. Hang on, days to election. Hang on, the pussy grabbing wasn't 100 days before the election, was it? So what was that? What happened 100 days before the election that led to that spike? Was it 100 days, the pussy grabbing tape? Yeah, he's avoiding Trump's negatives. Of course he is, because he's desperate to try and spin a narrative. Where are we? Sorry. Wonder if anyone in the chat knows. Because that's going to annoy me now. What's this? Yeah, that's him. Yeah. Yeah, he's leaving the hospital. Okay. Well, hopefully... No, for terms of service reasons, I won't finish that sentence, but I think you can imagine what might. I was wondering if anyone knows what caused this spike more than 100 days out from the thing. Look, it's dropping and then it goes, whoa, and yeah. Doesn't really matter, but I was just wondering. Because the pussy tapes, they were later, weren't they? They were much closer to the election, if I recall correctly. Like about 3 weeks out or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm getting distracted.
National polls, Hillary Clinton is lower than where Joe Biden was, suggesting it is not 2016 all over again. The polls are favoring Biden. The averages are favoring Biden. But the bigger question will be, who is actually going to win?
Yeah, obviously. Polling is just that, polling. It's an oft-quoted thing, but it's absolutely true, is that there's only one poll that actually matters, and that's the actual election.
538 has the story, the real story of 2016, what reporters and lots of data geeks too missed about the election and what they're still getting wrong. This was written January 19th, 2017, and it basically talks about how the pundits and the forecasters...
I love that, by the way, in the chat. Oh shit, he's right, that wasn't until October. Like, you don't have to sound quite so surprised that I have a memory that works, at least vaguely. I don't know. Winning the nomination. Oh yeah, it might have been winning the nomination in the GOP convention, yeah. That might be correct. WikiLeaks dump was the same day as to counter it, but oh okay.
Made a big mistake. Not the polling necessarily. Some polls were better than others. As we can see,
well, obviously, not all Polish people are brilliant. So I did. You conflated Poles with Polish people, because that's a quirk in English, isn't it? Because it's a thing like Swede and Swede, because one's a vegetable and one's from Sweden. I am very clever. Don't know if I've pointed that out to you all before, but I am supremely clever.
Democracy Institute poll that I showed you in the beginning predicted Brexit, and it predicted Donald Trump's.
Yeah, but as I explained, that doesn't really mean a lot. That doesn't mean that they're fucking Nostradamus, you twat.
Win. But the question I have is actually about favorability, not approval. Because Nate Silver himself says, in a tweet from Sean T. at Real Clear Politics, he said, New York Times Siena has Trump at 46% job approval, but getting 41% of the vote. Probably the most puzzling aspect of this election. Either these voters, A, are voting on Trump's personal characteristics, or B, are lying to pollsters or themselves. Nate Silver says, He's net -5 on approval, but net -9 on personal favorability in that poll. I think I've seen claims that favorability actually trends to predict the horse race better. I haven't seen a whole lot of that, but it makes sense to me.
I haven't seen a lot of that, but it makes sense to me. Oh, God. Maybe the beanie cuts off circulation to his brain. That must be the answer. They've created some sort of weird symbiotic relationship where the beanie feeds from his scalp and no blood gets to his fucking brain anymore. I don't know. Jesus. It's just drivel, isn't it? Which is why I wanted to take a look at it, because it's so easy to debunk. It's so easy to just slap him down, because it's such desperate nonsense.
Job approval, in my opinion, is relatively meaningless. I mean, I don't know for sure.
If Trump was at like 60 or 70% approval, he would not be saying that. It's because Trump's numbers are in the fucking toilet that he's desperately clinging to. Like, oh, that doesn't matter. What matters is this one poll that's obviously fucking biased in favour of the dude I like. Jesus.
Sure which one is more important, but there's good arguments for and against. Take a look at this. Real Clear Politics Trump's favorability. Right now, it's only 41.9%. Wait a minute. Donald Trump's aggregate approval rating is 45.3, but his favorability is 41.9. Okay, that to me says a lot. There are a lot of people who don't like Trump, but approve of the job he's doing.
Not that many. 4%. 4%, which is only slightly less than the percentage chance they give Trump in terms of the Real Clear Politics simulations that we showed you earlier, the 5%. So yeah, nothing. I mean, that's nothing. 4% of the population, okay. So you're going to try and spin that into they don't like Trump, but they think he's doing a great job. They're going to vote for him, so he wins. Yay, Trump. Again, could you lick that boot any harder, Timothy? I suspect not.
And doesn't that make a whole lot of sense? That there's a lot of people like me, that are like, why does Trump got to be a nasty potty mouth?
Yeah, that's the problem. He's a nasty potty. Not the genocide going on in the concentration camps. No, that's not a problem. Not the fact that he's inspired several terrorist attacks around the world. No, that's fine. It's the fact that he's a potty mouth. Tim, you're a fucking prick. Oh, sorry, I'm being a potty mouth. Sorry. My bad.
Bait, not a big fan. I think Trump won it for a variety of reasons.
See, Trump, I wasn't a big fan of the debate, but I think Trump won. Fuck off. No one thinks Trump won. You people are
But I was
hacks.
not particularly enthused by his performance. I think Trump has done a good job, but I don't necessarily view him all that favorably in this position. He's just the best we got right now. And as I often say, it really does come down, in my opinion, to the Middle Eastern peace deals, withdrawing our troops from the Middle East.
He isn't withdrawing troops from the Middle East. He's just shuffling the deck, so to speak. And the historic peace deals are nothing. Nothing. Okay? All they are is formalising what already existed. Those countries in Israel were already doing business. They just formalised it now to make it look like Trump's a peace deal person, which he isn't. He's helping continue the slaughter, the genocidal slaughter of the Palestinian people. That's all. And giving idiots like you an excuse. He's not doing anything. But it gets worse because he mentions drone strikes in a minute. It's amazing.
You're never going to argue that. I'm sorry, you can't. There's literally nothing anyone could say. You could come to me.
Yeah, there's nothing that anyone could say to prove reality to you, Tim. No.
Say, but Tim, what about the economy? Don't care. I cannot have.
Again, he spent years going on about the stock market because apparently that's something worth caring about. When it was going well for Trump. Now it's not. I don't care about that. And now I care about these fake peace deals, which aren't anything.
An argument about the economy while we are actively involved in unjust military incursions into foreign countries for 20 years. Sorry, Trump is solving that problem, and he's bringing peace to other countries.
No, he isn't. No, he is not. You are a liar. He's not doing anything of that. He abandoned the Kurds so that the Turkish government could slaughter them in huge numbers. He's actively continued alliances with the likes of Israel and Saudi Arabia, who murder and oppress their own people. The fuck are you talking about? And, because he mentions this in a second, he's increased the number of drone strikes that Barack Obama used. Somehow.
So if you want to talk about you and what you want, we can have that conversation. And then I'm going to stop and say, yeah, it's too bad, though. Yeah, it's too bad that Joe Biden will continue the foreign policy of the Obama administration, which increased our footprint in the Middle East and helped exacerbate the deaths of civilians. And
well, it's a shame that Donald Trump has continued to sell weapons to the Saudi Arabian government for them to enact genocide on the people of Yemen. Other than that, you might have an argument, Tim. You fucking idiot. You're such a bullshitter.
Other, women and children, men in these countries. The first thing we have to do, in my opinion, is end the BS. And we can spend that money back home. Well, Trump is doing it.
No, he isn't. No, he is not. You are a liar.
By all means, say whatever you want to me, but I'm sorry. That is one of the most important things.
Even though you've not mentioned it at all during the entirety of his presidency. But other than that, it's really important to you, isn't it, Tim?
In terms of how people actually vote, I have to wonder, is favorability more important? I bring up the issue of foreign policy for one very specific reason. Barack Obama put a smile on his face and he wore a tan suit, which everyone freaked out about, as he told you everything you wanted to hear. America, we're going to do all these good things for you, says Obama. And with that smile and that charisma and that proud and bold leadership, which I absolutely believe Obama did present very, very well, he was blowing up kids. It's interesting to me when people say they didn't know this. I made a...
Yeah, Trump's literally been blowing up more. Look, I'm not for a second defending Barack Obama's foreign policy. I think it was a fucking joke. But Trump's has been demonstrably worse in a number of key ways, including the increased drone strike usage.
A comment recently on Instagram talking to someone saying, I wish it were as simple as to say that Joe Biden would be better, but it's just not the case. Under the Obama administration, we were drone striking. They called him Obama. Obama.
Yeah, because they're racist and they wanted to make it out like he was a Muslim terrorist. Do you think the Republicans gave two fucks about him dropping drone strikes on brown people? No. Bush Jr. started that. Obama carried it on, and Trump has gotten worse with it.
Because he was blowing up people like crazy. I'm sorry, I don't want that back. And
It hasn't gone away. It's gotten worse, Tim. It's gotten significantly worse, Timothy.
Will not vote for it.
Yes, you will, because you're voting for Trump.
You see, Barack Obama signed
idiot.
into law the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, indefinite detention provisions. This would allow the U.S. government to just snatch somebody up anywhere in the world for any reason and then rendition them on an offshore oil rig. Or
You were laughing about them blackbagging people in Portland, Tim, so you can fuck off with your moral high horse as well.
Something. Nobody cared. Barack Obama created the kids in cages. Nobody cared. I mean, the act.
Lots of people cared. Lots of people did care. The fact that he got rid of so many migrants from the country. People cared about that. People didn't like that. The Republicans loved it. Donald Trump undoubtedly loved the fact that those people were no longer here. Didn't give Obama credit, quote unquote credit, for that. Well, that's rather irrelevant because you're just trying to spin a narrative. Why do I even keep interrupting? It's pointless.
Activists cared. Many of the anti-war left cared. Today, the resistance Democrats only care because it's Trump who's president, which says to me, favorability may be a better indicator of what.
Why does that mean anything? How do you make that pivot from talking about that to favourability being more important? And even then, look at the numbers, Tim. His favourability is awful.
Whether or not someone is going to win than approval rating or polling, in which case Donald Trump's favorability ain't that good. Yeah, it's actually pretty bad. 41.9%. Yikes. That must be really bad news for Trump, right? No. Actually,
No. Just no. It looks really bad, but actually, it's super awesome. Shut the fuck up, man.
it's not. You know why? Because when Trump got elected back in early November, his favorability was like, here we go. Where's the actual number? It's kind of hard to get to. November 9th. Yeah. Plus unfavorable plus 21 with a total favorability of 37.5. Trump's favorability was 37.5.
So it's barely gone anywhere. Slightly ahead. And his unfavourability is slightly down. But that's it. That's literally it. So basically your whole thing is, it's gotten slightly better, therefore he's definitely going to win, even though all of the other numbers suggest otherwise. God, there's desperately clutching at straws, and then there's whatever the fuck this is. Holy shit.
Hillary Clinton, what was her favorability at? Now it's still...
Why don't you look? I'm sure you could find that information, Tim. Look. Lazy
could be
prick.
bad news because I believe Joe Biden's favorability is actually like 45 or so percent. I don't think I have the numbers pulled up because the aggregate is what you want to look at. But if we're just going...
So you're not even going to show us that either? Like, you put so little effort into this. Yeah, exactly. America has always hated Trump, thus we're winning somehow. Brilliant.
Of Trump, then I think people see in Trump something more important. While the polls weren't necessarily wrong, they were wrong a little bit. It was the punditry that was wrong. Maybe we've entered this new space, this new era, where people might say, I just don't care anymore. Remember when Trump said that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he'd still get elected? Maybe that's true, because Trump is speaking to the American people in a way where they're like, why does it have to be Trump? I got to be honest with you guys. I know a lot of people that don't like that Donald Trump speaks the way he does. I know a lot of people who do like that he speaks this way. There are a lot of people that see Trump insulting the press and calling them out and calling them fake news, and they feel like they finally have someone on their side.
Right, but I also see him mocking disabled people and being racist and shit. Like, there's no reasonable defence of Donald Trump at this point. If you're defending Donald Trump, you're scum. I'm sorry. There's no questions. There's no middle ground here. If you're defending Donald Trump, you're garbage. I don't know. There's no possible moral basis on which you can defend Donald Trump. You just can't. Even if you're pro-life, you can't. Even if you're, I don't even know, small government, you can't. There's no perspective from which you can defend Donald Trump. The only reason you're doing it is because you're a capricious little bastard who wants to see people suffer. That's it, okay? That's the only rationale, and it's immoral as fuck.
Pushing back. Then I see a lot of people are like, I don't like that he does this, but the economy's stupid. I'll tell you what. Okay,
according to the chat, real clear politics, Hillary Clinton's favourability. But is that her favourability now? At 42%, Biden 45%. Okay. Yeah, exactly. 4 years ago, yeah, absolutely he was indefensible. But at least they had the thing of going, oh, well, maybe he'll govern differently to how he's acted before. As weak an excuse as that is. Whereas now, there's no defence of this motherfucker.
I don't like the way Trump acts. Listen, I think Trump's funny. I think what he says is funny. And I laugh when he says these things on TV.
So you don't like the way he acts, but you like the way he acts. Fucking hell.
But that's not what I would vote for.
Kill me!
But with Donald Trump's historic peace agreements, it's done.
There's nothing fucking historic about them. It's so infuriating. The motherfucker has desperately tried to start wars left, right and centre. He's so tried. But he's such an idiot, he's even failed at that. Look at the fucking bungling attempts they've made to overthrow the Venezuelan government, for instance. Like, they're not historic. They're formalisations of pre-existing conditions ironically, but conditions that were already extant and had been for decades.
You cannot argue against that. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, there's literally nothing that you can penetrate your fucking beanie of self-delusion, Tim, yeah.
Sorry, you're upset because your wages aren't increasing? I'm mad that Obama bombed children.
But you're clearly very happy that Trump has bombed more children. Also, what happened to the white working class in the Rust Belt? Apparently we were supposed to really care that their wages were going down. It was economic insecurity and anxiety that caused the blah-de-blah-de-blah. But now we're not supposed to give two fucks about those people? Like, pick a narrative, motherfuckers.
I'm mad that Donald Trump did too, earlier in his first term.
No, he's still doing it, by the way. And the fact that you've admitted to that and you defended him throughout shows that you don't give two fucks about them drone-striking brown kids. You're a piece of shit. The fact that you would drag the deaths of those innocent people into your fucking sick, perverted narrative makes you so much worse than you even were before. Fuck you.
When he had morons like John Bolton in his administration.
But again, the fact that he had people like John Bolton in his administration, and by the way, he still has people like Elliot Abrams, right? That's because Trump chose them. They weren't foisted upon him. They weren't. It's not like he inherited that situation. He brought them in. He made them a part of his government. That's still on him.
But over the past couple of years, Trump has worked really, really hard to bring about peace.
No, he hasn't. He has threatened North Korea with annihilation. He has consistently tried to overthrow, although be very, very bunglingly so, the Venezuelan government. He has allowed the Kurds to be slaughtered by the Turkish government. He has consistently, even though human rights organisations called on him desperately to stop selling arms to Saudi Arabia that they were using to genocide the people of Yemen, he's done all of that. The fuck are you talking about? And of course, his government actively participated in the overthrow of the democratically elected Evo Morales' government in Ecuador. Fuck you, Tim. You're such a lying bastard.
The military-industrial complex, the variety of contractors and other companies aren't too happy about it. And the elites who have fomented this crony class of arms dealing aren't happy
Jews?
about it either.
Is he talking about Jews now? I don't know.
I'm not happy that Trump fired 59 Tomahawk missiles into Syria. And I'm not happy that he engaged in drone strikes.
But you're still going to vote for him. But you're still going to vote for him. But you're still going to vote for him, Tim. So, no, you don't give two fucks about these poor brown kids. You're just a liar. This is pathetic.
Sorry. If you want to come to me and complain about your wages, your salaries, your social issues, I'll say, wow. It's too bad that Joe Biden would continue the horrific foreign policy of the Obama administration.
Which, by and large, Trump has. Well, outside of, dumb shit like making the world less safe via stoking war with Iran, removing people from the Iran nuclear deal, which means that, in theory, Iran can now just make a nuclear bomb. Yeah, that makes the world safer, clearly. Yeah, you're full of shit. It's so unbelievably full of shit. Now, don't get it twisted, right? I think Biden's foreign policy will probably be shit. Of course he is. He's running to be the head of an imperialist capitalist government. The most imperialist, most capitalist government that has ever existed. So yeah, it's probably going to be fucking dreadful. But Trump's actually is worse, and would be worse. God knows what he'll do if unshackled from the need to ever run for an election again. Fucking hell, maybe he'll nuke Antarctica because fuck penguins or something, who knows?
Administration. If this is what you give me, then too bad. I know what I'm going to vote for, and there's nothing you can say to stop it because these peace agreements are too important. They are too important.
No, they're not. They're nothing. They change nothing.
Important for the world. There's a lot of people who are nationalists who argue that Trump is going to bring back manufacturing and do these good things for the country. That's a good point.
Except it hasn't happened. He's had 4 years to do that, and it's actually gotten worse. Because essentially, like a lot of boomer nonsense, he's pretending that you can bring back the 1950s. it's gone. Okay? Manufacturing in the West has gone.
I like those things too. And then the left talks about their social issues and Trump is a crony and he's appointing his kids. Yeah, well, listen, I'm not a staunch nationalist. I'm not.
He's just not going to, he's not even going to address that.
My concern is for the planet. And
is it? So why are you okay with him withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris Climate Accords? Why have you consistently attacked Greta Thunberg? If you care about the world, and she's one of the foremost ecology activists of recent times, why have you done nothing but attack her? You've literally tried to undermine her at every step, even though, for a large part of that, she's a child. You were attacking a child because green stuff bad. But now you want us to believe you give a fuck about the world. Tim, I will take some small scintilla of pleasure in the otherwise unmitigated disaster that will be climate change and the annihilation of mankind, including all the people I love. But I will take a very tiny slither of joy from knowing that if humanity disappears, you will also disappear in Minecraft.
for the planet, we need peace. We also need someone who's going to be tough on China. That is not Joe Biden. So when I look at favorability, maybe it...
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not pro-penguin. The penguins are evil. I'm just saying I don't know that nuclear annihilation is the... I would suggest a war on penguins in a more kind of ground-based offensive, I think would be more appropriate. I don't know that the other animals have to suffer. But the penguins are a significant problem that will have to be dealt with at some point. There's no doubt about it. I'm not some sort of penguinophile, okay? I'm not some penguin apologist here on this channel.
Mattered last time. Maybe Hillary Clinton's favorability was just way worse. It doesn't matter to me right now. To me, what matters now is whether or not Trump is going to do the right thing.
Which he hasn't done for 4 years.
Trump's approval rating around the time that he actually got elected, they don't actually show it, but when he started his term, was actually 44.3. January 27th, I believe, is the first day they have Trump. He was inaugurated on the 20th.
Right. Now notice he's going to say, oh, it's slightly better now. But look at his disapproval numbers. Was around the same, but has risen to 52%. Gone up much more significantly. But let's hear Trump.
Donald Trump's approval rating is higher now than when he was first inaugurated.
But his disapproval number is significantly more than it was at that time. Look, just draw a line, Tim. Draw a line from one to the other. His approval's gone up a tiny amount. His disapproval has gone up pretty significantly. Look at that. It's gone up, what is it, about 44 up to 52.
His favorability now is higher than when he won the election. That may mean Trump is on track to win.
You're literally showing us information which disproves that. His disapproval number has gone up way more. Which shows, along with all of the other information, that he's on track not to. Now again, that doesn't mean he can't or won't win. I'm just saying, statistically, it's improbable at this point. Not impossible, but improbable. Unless we get some genuine crazy out there October surprise situation. Maybe Biden, I don't know, falls asleep at one of the things and gets his dick out or something. I don't know. Actually, that'd make me want to vote for him more, to be honest.
Now, the polling shows Biden is being favored. But according to Express and the Democracy Institute,
favored?
It won't matter. I'm interested to see if COVID is going to have a long-term beneficial effect for the president. You know, some people talk about there's a sympathy effect, that when people see the president is fighting and he's injured or
at least not yet.
In some way negatively impacted while on the job, they start to root for him, hoping he gets better. I think we may actually see something like that.
You're desperately
One of the questions
hoping
that I think, however, needs to be asked is asked by Glenn Greenwald.
Glenn Greenwald, I hate Tim Pool, but this is actually a good question It's a question I posed, albeit rhetorically, because I don't think she's a regular viewer. I think she occasionally dips in and out of my show. I don't think she's a regular viewer. That being Rachel Maddow. I put to her the same question that you see there. Why are you praying for his recovery when you've been calling him a fascist? Now, I think they were right to call him a fascist. I think he's a fascist. In fact, I know he's a fucking fascist. But I'm not praying for him to get better. The fact that, unfortunately, it seems he has, rather proves to me that God doesn't exist. Or that if he does exist, he's a prick. Yeah, come get me, you divine cunt bag. Anyway, yeah, so this, again, it just leaves, it's a gaping, obvious nonsense of a hypocrisy, so don't do it. Let's skip past this, because he reads through that nonsense anyway.
I think that the Democrats don't really believe what they're saying. And I
think a lot of them don't believe what they're saying. But I don't think you do either, Tim. You're a grifter.
I think the American people know this as well. But I have to wonder, is the Sunday Express poll correct? They
No. No, it isn't.
predicted Trump the first time. Rasmussen was correct as well, and they're showing that Trump is not doing so bad. Rasmussen in aggregate right now has Donald Trump at -7. I mean,
not so bad. -7.
That's actually kind of bad.
Yeah.
46 to 53.
That's
the bigger
awful.
question is whether or not people will actually come out to vote. I don't think they will. I really do not think they will.
You hope they don't.
I see so many people I know that are going to stay home. And that's one of the reasons they want mail-in voting so bad. It's just making it as easy as possible for people who don't care to vote.
Oh, no. Well, we can't have that. We can't have people who don't care voting. That's not allowed. We should only have people who, A, agree with me, and B, are really politically engaged. Motherfucker, Donald Trump built his brand on low information voters who clearly don't give two fucks about the country in the slightest. In a democracy, you're allowed to vote regardless of how much you care. The franchise doesn't depend on you giving a fuck. And I'm not saying that I want people who don't care to vote. I'm just saying the idea that we should make it more difficult for them. What the fuck? Also, Tim, if these are people you know, they're Republicans. You should want them to vote by mail if they're not going out, because otherwise you'll lose.
It's also going to give them the opportunity to, cheat. But I guess we'll.
The fact that Donald Trump has openly admitted to the fraudulent bullshit he's going to try and pull, and has been pulling for weeks now, if not months and years, we're just going to wash over that. We're not going to mention that. We're just going to allude to them cheating somehow. Not going to show any evidence of that. Just going to allude to it, because why not? What do you think he is, a journalist or something?
We'll see how things play out. Donald Trump appears to be making some approval gains, favorability gains, and polling gains amid his COVID diagnosis. That will make things very interesting. Maybe Trump will take a turn for the worse. People will gasp, and then Trump will survive. He'll come out looking better, and he will thank the American people, and the sympathy vote will help him.
I don't think so. It's difficult. Even people who like Trump, it's difficult to be sympathetic towards him. He's not a sympathetic character, is he?
That seems to be the trajectory we're on right now, but I guess we can only wait and see, as I often say. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. The next time...
Fuck off. Anyway. There we go. Cultural marks. Lovely stuff. So that's my show basically for today. Those are the things I had prepared. I've done everything. I've done everything there. I don't need that shit. Anyway, how are we all? Do we have any final questions or anything before I fuck off? How does mail-in voting allow people to cheat? Yeah, exactly. I think he's alluding to the Project Veritas, the incorrectly named Project Veritas. Veritas meaning truth in Latin, so very incorrectly named. Their nonsense about mail-in voter fraud in Minnesota, specifically around Ilhan Omar. which they claim was about an organisation which wasn't founded until months after the filming took place, and that the guy who they filmed has subsequently gone back and said that he didn't mean any of the things he said in the video. So it was a hack piece, a complete and utter hack piece, as is always the case with Project Veritas. Just wait a day. Wait a day for the people to actually look into it, and it always falls apart. They're so shit at this. Unbelievable stuff. Yeah, and of course Tulsi Gabbard, she was out there going, yeah, look at this Project Veritas thing, they're cheating. God, she's fucking dirt, isn't she? Fucking awful. I mean, not as bad as some of the fucking Fox News pundits who are out there doing it as well. Good night, and remember that 9 out of 10 penguins are cunts. That is true. 1 out of 10 penguins, though, is probably alright, I reckon. Probably okay. Yeah. What is the 3-tiered lockdown that Boris Johnson alluded to? I don't know, but the good thing is I know as much as Boris Johnson does, by which I mean nothing. I know nothing about it, but neither does he. Neither does he. Yeah, so basically it's nonsense, you know. You like Tulsi, she's pretty reasonable, except that she's obviously not very reasonable at all. She was literally citing the Project Veritas nonsense, so she's not reasonable in the slightest. Also, she's a big fan of Narendra Modi in India, who's been doing like ethnic genocide and stuff. He's a fascist. But apart from that, yeah, super awesome. I disagree with you on most things, and I think you're a bit of a prick, but I do like you. I hope you stay well. Thank you. I also think I'm a bit of a prick, and I hope that I stay well. I don't disagree with me on many things, though, because that would be weird. What kind of schizophrenia would that be? Oh yeah, and of course Tulsi defended Assad. Yeah, she's a terrible person in many respects. Oh, and voted present. Like, at least have the fucking wherewithal, at least have the fucking honesty to vote innocent on the Trump impeachment thing. Don't talk shit and go on about like, oh, I'm going to vote present instead. Like, that's so dishonest. Fuck that noise. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to do the bit. Anyway, so I'm going to raid now. Who's on? We've got, I'll kick you to the serfs. Because they're the only ones that are on, I think. Anyway, so thank you all for listening and watching. And though cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we'll keep the red flag flying.